Okay, then there is no need of the GMO. We know that, but the problem is without any protein like oil, canola oil, also the soya oil, also the like saccharides, like sugar.
Yes.
That's the without protein we call.
Right.
Then in Japan, we don't need to do any label on the GMO. Obviously, this sugar, also this oil come from a GMO product.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think about this? No danger because not protein there. What do you think about this one?
The exemption of oils is based on the lack of understanding of the scientific risks that can come from the process of genetic engineering itself. It's true that in refined oils, there's no remaining genetically engineered proteins and there's no DNA.
That's right.
But the process of genetically engineering the plant causes significant alterations in the DNA.
Oh.
So 2 to 4% of the DNA can be different through mutations.
Really?
And also hundreds or thousands of mutations can occur throughout the genome, and at least up to 5% of the existing genes in the plant might change their activity. Now, what this means is that the nutritional content, the amount of toxins or allergens, etc., that are found in the plant may be different if it's genetically engineered compared to its natural counterpart. So, for example, genetically engineered canola has higher levels of a toxic substance, glucosinolate, than the non-GMO. It's in the oil. It's not the protein, it's not the DNA, but it's a difference in the composition that resulted from the process of genetic engineering. So even though the more you refine a GMO and the more you take out the protein and you take out the DNA, the risks are lower and lower, but they're not eliminated because your technology is so disruptive and creates the side effects. So, for example, you can have a fat-soluble toxin that's increased or introduced into a GMO plant that ends up in the oil with only the GMO version and not the non-GMO version. A study on genetically modified soybean oil found that the nutritional content was lower in the GMO soybean oil than the non-GMO soybean oil.
Really?
But they also found one other change.
Yes.
Soy is genetically engineered to be sprayed with Roundup herbicide.
Yes.
Roundup has an active ingredient called glyphosate. Glyphosate is declared by the World Health Organization as probably carcinogenic to humans.
That I want to, question that.
Right.
Yes.
And it has many other dangerous health properties. It turns out that there's a very significant amount of glyphosate residues in the genetically modified soybean oil, and we would expect the same in the canola oil and the corn oil. And the non-GMO soybean oil did not have glyphosate residues. So you have the increase of a known toxin that's probably carcinogenic, as well as unknown toxins and nutritional problems as a result of genetic engineering.
However, Roundup gets active when it spread on the plant of leaves. So is it this glycoside absorbed through into the beans or corn itself? Is it true?
Yes.
Oh.
What happens is glyphosate is one of many, many products in Roundup. And one of those products is called a surfactant. A surfactant. And that it carries the glyphosate into the tissue of the plant.
Yes.
And so it gets absorbed into the plant, and about 15 to 20% of the glyphosate leaves through the roots.
Yes.
but the rest get deposited in the plant, primarily in the faster growing regions, which includes the soybean. And you can't wash it off. It's there. You can't,
Inside,
it's
yes.
inside. Same with corn. You can't wash it off. It's inside the plant.
Then, do you think what kind of damage we eat by meat, livestock meat, that's fed by GMO, corn leaves and corn cells, you see. That's, I don't like to eat any meat at all nowadays. So because I know dangerous, you see. So what do you think about this one? Because America have already 20 years experience of this damage.
Yes.
They eat meat of the fed by GMO. So what do you think this matter?
I think that there's a serious concern for eating the milk and meat and eggs. Now, in the United States, the Food and Drug Administration was asked to evaluate GMOs back in the early 1990s. And numerous memos that were made public from a lawsuit many years later revealed that the scientists' consensus were that GMOs were dangerous and needed to be tested.
That time already they knew the dangerous is it. Also they sued the Monsanto.
No, they knew that the process of genetic engineering could create new levels, higher levels, or introduce new toxins or allergens or antibiotic-resistant diseases or nutritional problems, that they could accumulate toxins from the environment as well as heavy metals. And they said that in order to protect consumers, there needed to be rigorous safety studies, including human safety studies. But the White House had instructed the FDA to promote GMOs, so the FDA hired Monsanto's former attorney, Michael Taylor, to be in charge of policy. He ignored the scientists and allowed GMOs on the market without any safety testing. And then he became Monsanto's vice president, and now he's back at the FDA as the US food czar. Now, if you look at the memos, one of the memos comes from the head of the Center for Veterinary Medicine. And it says that the milk and meat of animals that have been fed GMOs carry unique risks.
Yes.
And need to be tested. Now, one way that we know that animal products can carry risks is something called bioaccumulation. The animals in the United States eat mostly Roundup-ready crops. Soy, corn, cottonseed meal, canola meal, sugar beet pulp, alfalfa. And in the food is a poison called glyphosate.
Yes.
And the glyphosate, according to Monsanto, is supposed to leave the body immediately. But documents about Monsanto's own study were recently released from the Environmental Protection Agency to one scientist, Dr. Anthony Samsel. And he found that even in Monsanto's own research, they found glyphosate in the bone, in the heart, in the liver, in all the tissues of the body. And so if the animal is eating glyphosate-based products, and they can eat 150 pounds of grain a day, these animals, then it's possible and likely that the toxin, glyphosate, bioaccumulates to much higher levels in the tissue of the meat and possibly the milk itself. And we know that glyphosate is found in human breast milk, so we will assume that glyphosate is also found in cow breast milk.